Welcome to the laboratory, my friends. Today, we're going to make the math visible and totally master the invisible world of solution concentrations. In this explainer, we're taking a front row seat for a complete cinematic lecture presented by Dr. Chem on molarity and the concentration of solutions. So if you've ever wanted to truly learn the exact definition and calculation of molarity from the ground up, you are absolutely in the right place.
But hey, before we even think about touching a single beaker, we really need to understand this foundational truth. Concentration describes the quantity of solute in a given amount of solution. It's literally the ultimate measure of what's hidden inside our mixtures. You know, whether we're talking about the salt in the ocean or just the sugar in your morning coffee, concentration tells us exactly how crowded those dissolved particles really are.
All right, let's jump straight into part one, the meaning of molarity.
So the absolutely crucial point here is Dr. Chem's golden rule. Molarity, which we represent with a big capital M, is simply the ratio of the number of moles of your solute divided by the total liters of your solution. It's just a ratio of two very specific numbers. And here is a quick, incredibly important reminder. That denominator is the volume of the entire solution in liters, not just the volume of the solvent you poured in. That's a trap a lot of people fall into. Now, chemistry kind of has its own shorthand. If you see the letter capital M, which we pronounce as molar, or if you spot square brackets wrapping around a chemical formula, like NaCl, well, the universe is telling you we're talking about molarity. You might also see moles per liter written out as mol/L, or even the SI unit variation moles per cubic decimeter. Look, they all mean the exact same thing. It's just telling us how many moles are swimming around in a single liter.
Let's build some rapid-fire intuition with a little mental math. Imagine you have exactly 1 liter of a 2.0 molar solution of sodium chloride. In that case, you're holding exactly 2 moles of salt. It's a direct, beautiful one-to-one relationship when your volume happens to be exactly 1 liter. But here's where we really have to pay attention. What if we cut that volume right in half? Say we only have 0.50 liters. Well, the concentration is strictly still 2.0 molar. Even though physically, there's only 1 mole of salt present in your beaker. The ratio of the mixture is identical. The crowd density hasn't changed at all. There's simply less room overall. Which naturally brings us to part 2, the math and the formula.
Think of this table as your ultimate mathematical toolkit. It perfectly shows how all these quantities connect. Need to find molarity? Just divide the moles of solute by the volume of solution. Gotta find the volume instead? Easy. Just divide moles of solute by the molarity. And what if you actually need to weigh out the physical mass in grams? You just multiply your concentration by your volume and then by the formula weight of your compound. It's like a giant puzzle where all the pieces just snap perfectly together.
Now, to scale the universe a bit and put these numbers into perspective, you might be totally shocked to learn the molarity of pure water itself. It is a massive 55.5 moles per liter. Because water is so incredibly dense and has a really low formula weight, calculating its molar concentration reveals this super packed molecular crowd. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, let's look at a truly microscopic scale, a typical protein inside an E. coli bacterium. It operates at a concentration of just 100 nanomolar. That is a tiny fraction of a mole per liter, perfectly calibrated for the super delicate machinery of a single biological cell. Okay, moving right along to part 3, preparing solutions in the lab. I want you to imagine you're holding a volumetric flask, and you're tasked with preparing 2 liters of a 1.50 molar sodium chloride solution. Here's exactly how you do it. First, you mass out your solute, exactly 175.3 grams of salt based on its formula weight. Next, you pour that into the flask and dissolve it in some water. And finally, and honestly this is the trick to the whole thing, you add water precisely up to the marking line on the neck of the flask. You don't just dump in 2 liters of water. You add water until the total volume reaches that 2-liter mark. All right, let's dive into part 4, calculating ion concentrations. So what actually happens when our perfectly measured solid hits the water and breaks apart into invisible pieces? Well, to answer that, we have to introduce formal concentration, or formality. This is essentially the analytical concentration of the original chemical formula of the salt molecule, right before it dissociates in the liquid. Basically, it's the label on the bottle before the chaotic chemical reality of dissolving takes over. Let's look at a concrete example to really lock this in. If our formal concentration of calcium acetate is 1.5 molar,
The actual ion concentrations are completely different. Since the chemical formula tells us there are 2 acetate ions for every single calcium ion, dissolving a 1.5 molar solution magically yields 3.0 molar of swimming acetate ions. You always have to multiply that formal concentration by the number of ions the molecule actually produces.
And that leads us to Part 5, the temperature twist.
Prepare yourselves for the scientific plot twist of today's explainer, the disruptive power of thermal expansion. Because heat physically makes liquid water expand, a rise in temperature actually increases the overall volume of your solution. But remember our golden rule equation. If the volume in the denominator gets bigger, your calculated molarity magically shrinks. Seriously, a solution sitting in a warm room actually has a slightly lower molarity concentration than that exact same solution sitting in a freezing cold room. Crazy, right? So how do scientists actually deal with this annoying temperature dependence? Well, to combat it, chemists will sometimes abandon volume entirely and use molality, spelled with an L. This measures moles of solute per kilogram of solvent. And because mass literally never changes with temperature, molality stays perfectly constant, whether you're boiling your mixture or freezing it completely solid. It's a real game changer.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with this provocation for our next session. How exactly can we use a standardized base, a color-changing indicator like phenolphthalein, and the sheer mathematical power of molarity to reveal the identity of a total unknown? I want you to really think about it. The math we just explored today is the literal key to unlocking those titration mysteries, so keep exploring, keep calculating, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.